What is the point of it all if I will always end being alone? Tears streaming down his face. He is always used and dumped. Enugu was alive that Friday night, its vibrant streets echoing with the honks of cars and the rhythmic beats of Afrobeat songs. In the heart of Independence layout sat Club Royale, one of the city's most exclusive lounges, where only the wealthiest could afford to flaunt their status. Among them, Nana, popularly known as Cash Daddy, was the undisputed king. His survival was always a spectacle. His black Range Rover autobiography screeched to a halt at the club's entrance. Two bodyguards in crisp suits stepped out first, clearing the way. Then Nana emerged, a massive figure clad in an agbada made from the finest lace, embroidered with golden threads. His rotund belly stretched the fabric, and a diamond chain rested on his chest surrounded with many beautiful and elegant ladies. Nana's girth was impossible to miss, and so was his wealth. Cash Daddy. A group of young men cheered as he stepped into the lounge. Nana raised a hand in acknowledgement, his signature smile flashing beneath his trimmed beard. He was used to the adoration. With his size and extravagant spending, he was a walking legend. Inside, Nana's table was already set, a spread of the most expensive champagne bottles, platters of suya, and exotic seafood. Sitting beside him was Tina, his latest romantic interest. She was a light-skinned beauty, dressed in a shimmering gown that left little to the imagination. He adored her, and he made sure the world knew it. "Baby, anything you want, just say it," he said, his voice deep and commanding. Tina giggled, twirling her Brazilian wig. "I trust you, Cash Daddy. That's why I like you." Minutes later, a waiter approached. "Sir, the total bill is 1.2 million. Without flinching, Nana waved his hand. "Add 200K for yourself and the boys," he said. The waiter's face lit up with gratitude as he scurried off. "Cash Daddy, you're too much," Tina purred, leaning into him. But beneath Nana's jovial demeanor was a man fighting a silent battle. His size made him the butt of jokes even among some of his so-called friends. He often overheard whispers about his weight. "Doesn't this man get tired of eating?" Or, "No wonder he's always spending. Who else will love him?" These words haunted him, though he masked the pain with laughter and money. As weeks passed, he became more invested in Tina. He bought her a car, paid for her trips to Dubai, and even transferred millions into her account. He saw her as the one woman who might finally love him for who he was. But one evening, Tina shattered his illusion. They were at a luxurious restaurant when she dropped the bombshell. "Nana," she began, avoiding eye contact. "I think we need to talk." Nana frowned. "What is it, baby? You need something. Just say it." "No, it's not that." She hesitated, then sighed. "I don't think this is working out." "What are you talking about?" His voice grew tense. "Minas. You're a great guy, generous, kind, but I can't do this anymore. After everything I've done for you." His tone was now a mix of disbelief and anger. "Tina, I gave you everything." "That's the problem," she snapped. "You think money can buy love. But it can't. I can't keep pretending." He sat in stunned silence as Tina walked out, leaving him alone with his shattered pride. Later that night, he stood on the balcony of his mansion in GRA. The city lights twinkled below, but he felt no joy. His wealth, his fame, his lavish lifestyle, none of it could fill the void inside him. As a tear rolled down his cheek, he muttered, "What's the point of it all if I'll always be alone?" But deep down, he knew he wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. Days after she left, he decided to go and cool off. At Silver Spoon, as he walked in, he noticed a group of girls having drinks, chatting and giggling. But there's a particular one that looks different, Janet, who had caught his attention, which he requested for her to join him if they don't mind. Days after their brief meeting at Silver Spoon, he couldn't get Janet out of his mind. She was different from the women he'd pursued before. No flashy jewelry, no overdone makeup, just a quiet confidence that left an impression. For the first time in years, Nana felt something beyond the shallow thrill of a chase. determined to see her again. He asked Chaik to track her down discreetly. Chaik returned within hours, his face smug as usual. Olga, her full name is Janet Okafor. She owns a small boutique in GRA, single mother, one son. Runs the shop herself, no major staff. Nana nodded, impressed. So she's hardworking. Chaik shrugged. Looks like it. But Olga, are you sure this one won't eat your money and run too? Nana waved him off. This is different, Chaik. Just watch. The next afternoon, Nana walked into Janet's boutique unannounced. The shop was small but stylish, with racks of neatly arranged clothes and accessories. Janet, standing behind the counter, looked up in surprise. Nana, I wasn't expecting to see you here, she said, her tone a mix of curiosity and amusement. I wanted to see where you work, he replied, flashing a smile. It's impressive. You have good taste. Thank you, she said, a bit flustered but polite. How can I help you today? Nana glanced around, pretending to browse. Do you sell men's clothes? No, but I can recommend a good store, she said, smiling. I'm not here to shop, Nana admitted. I just wanted to see you again. Maybe I could take you to lunch. Janet hesitated. She wasn't used to this kind of attention, especially from someone so wealthy. But something about Nana's sincerity softened her. All right, she said. Let me lock up first. They drove to one of Enugu's finest restaurants, the Palm Court, in Nana's sleek black SUV. The staff greeted him like royalty, ushering them to a private table. Janet felt out of place amidst the luxury but tried not to show it. As they ate, Nana asked her about her life. She told him about her late husband, who had died in a car accident, leaving her to raise their son, Ibuka, alone. She spoke of her struggles to keep her boutique afloat and her desire to give her son a good education. Nana listened intently, impressed by her resilience. You've been through so much, yet you've built a life for yourself, he said. That's admirable. Janet smiled. Thank you, but I'm just doing what I have to. Life doesn't give you much choice. For the first time in years, Nana felt genuinely connected to someone. But he knew winning her over wouldn't be easy. By the following week, word had spread that Ogwefi Nana was courting a boutique owner. In Enugu, where gossip traveled faster than a speeding Kiki Napep, the story became the talk of the town. At a popular salon in New Haven, women discussed it over manicures. Did you hear about Janet? She's dating Big Daddy Atem. One woman exclaimed. Can you blame her? Another said. With all that money, who wouldn't? But can she really love him? That man is too big. He looks like he's carrying a bag of rice on his belly. The women burst into laughter, but not everyone was amused. Nkechi, Janet's best friend, defended her. At least Janet isn't chasing him for money. She has her own business, she said, her voice firm. But the doubts lingered. Even Janet couldn't escape them. One evening, as Janet closed her boutique, she found Nkechi waiting outside. Do you have time to talk? Nkechi asked. Of course, Janet replied, locking the door. They walked to a nearby cafe. Over cups of steaming tea, Nkechi got straight to the point. Are you sure about this Nana guy? People are talking. Janet sighed. Let them talk. Nana has been nothing but kind to me. I know, but you've seen his reputation. Women use him and leave. What makes you different? I don't want his money, Nkechi, Janet said firmly. He's been through enough. Maybe he just needs someone to see him for who he is. And do you see him that way? Nkechi pressed. Janet hesitated. She couldn't deny she was starting to care for Nana, but there was a part of her that feared getting hurt, or worse, being accused of taking advantage of him. The next week, Nana surprised Janet by sponsoring her son's school fees for the year. Ibuka, who had always been wary of strangers, warmed up to Nana almost immediately. Thank you, Uncle Nana, the boy said, beaming. You're welcome, Nana replied, patting his head. Your mom is a wonderful woman. She deserves all the help she can get. That night, Janet confronted Nana. Why did you do that? You didn't have to. I wanted to, he said simply. I know what it's like to grow up without support. Let me help you. Janet's walls began to crumble. For the first time she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, Nana was different. Just as things seemed to be improving, a woman from Nana's past resurfaced. Sandra, the same ex-girlfriend who had gone viral for mocking him, appeared at a public event they attended together. Well, well, Sandra said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. It looks like you've found your next victim. Janet stiffened, but Nana kept his composure. Sandra, leave us alone. Why? I'm just here to warn her, Sandra said, smirking. You can dress him up, but he'll always be Big Daddy Adam. The encounter left Janet shaken and unsure of what to believe. The encounter with Sandra left Janet unsettled. As Nana drove her home that evening, the tension in the car was palpable. Nana glanced at her, his hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than usual. I'm sorry about Sandra, he finally said, his voice heavy with regret. She has a way of showing up when you least expect her. Janet stayed silent for a moment, then asked, Is what she said true? Were all those women just using you? Nana sighed deeply. Most of them, yes. I made mistakes, Janet. I thought money could win me love, but all it brought me was heartbreak. I know I'm not perfect, but I've changed. I don't want to lose you because of my past. His honesty softened her, but doubts still lingered in her heart. The next morning, as Janet opened her boutique, Nkechi stormed in, visibly upset. I heard what happened last night, Nkechi began, her voice laced with concern. Sandra is right, Janet. Nana's past is messy. Are you sure you want to deal with that? Janet sighed. Nkechi, I know his past isn't perfect, but whose is? He's trying to change. Nkechi shook her head. I just don't want you to get hurt. The same people praising you now will turn on you if things go south. The words stayed with her throughout the day. As much as she cared for Nana, she couldn't ignore the judgment of others, or the nagging fear that history might repeat itself. One evening, as Nana and Janet sat in her living room, she decided to open up about her own past. There's something I need to tell you, she began, her voice trembling. You deserve to know the truth about me. Nana leaned forward, concern etched on his face. What is it? Janet took a deep breath. My late husband, Jude, didn't die in a car accident. He was murdered. Nana froze. Murdered? By who? Janet's voice broke. There were rumors that I was involved, that I had something to do with it. But I swear to you, Nana, I'm innocent. I loved my husband, despite our struggles. Nana sat back, processing the revelation. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I was afraid, Janet admitted. I've been judged my whole life. I didn't want you to see me the way others do. Nana reached for her hand. Janet, we all have shadows in our past. I won't let this change the way I feel about you. It didn't take long for the news to spread. A neighbor overheard Janet and Nana's conversation and wasted no time sharing it with the local gossip network. Within days, Janet's name was being whispered in Market's saloon. She's a murderer, one woman hissed to her friend outside a supermarket. Imagine. And Ogbuefi Nana wants to marry her. God forbid, another replied. The whispers reached Nana's family, and they were furious. His older sister, Ifeoma, called a family meeting to confront him. At his family's duplex in Independence Layout, Nana faced a barrage of criticism from his siblings. You can't marry that woman, Ifeoma declared, her arms crossed. Do you know how embarrassing this is for our family? She has a bad reputation, Nana, his younger brother, Uche, added. People are saying you're desperate. Nana stood his ground. Janet is not what they say she is. She's been through a lot, and I won't abandon her. Think about your future, Ifeoma insisted. You can have any woman you want. Why choose someone with so much baggage? Nana's voice rose. Because she's the first person who sees me for who I am, not what I have. If you can't support me, stay out of my business. The room fell silent. For the first time, his family realized how serious he was about Janet. The pressure began to take its toll on Janet. She started avoiding Nana's calls and keeping to herself. One evening, he showed up at her boutique unannounced. "Why are you shutting me out?" he demanded. "I don't want to be the reason people turn against you," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You deserve someone better." "You're wrong," Nana said firmly. "I deserve someone real. And that's you." Janet hugged him tightly, ready to face every challenge that might come. One fateful day, during a business conference at a luxurious hotel, Nana collapsed. The stress of the rumors, family pressure, and his deteriorating health had taken a toll. He was rushed to the hospital, unconscious. Janet, hearing the news, rushed to his bedside. As she held his hand, tears streaming down her face, she whispered, "Please don't leave me, Nana. I need you." But Nana remained unresponsive, leaving everyone wondering if their love story would survive, or if it was too late. The news spread like wildfire. Obwifi Nana, the man who had everything, was lying unconscious in a hospital bed. Janet, visibly shaken, stayed by his side day and night. The doctors assured her that he was stable but needed time to recover. Yet, every passing hour seemed to stretch on endlessly. She couldn't help but replay the events that had led them to this point. Sandra's cruel words, the family's disapproval, and the mounting pressure from every corner had all taken their toll on Nana. And now, with him lying there, vulnerable and dependent on her, she found herself at a crossroads. Am I strong enough to carry this burden, she wondered. Do I love him enough to fight for us? Janet felt unsure. She spent hours by Nana's bedside, talking to him even though he couldn't respond. I love you, Nana, she whispered softly, brushing a lock of hair away from his forehead. But I can't keep fighting this battle alone. You have to get better. One evening, as the sun began to set, Janet received a visit from Nkechi, her best friend. Nkechi had been her rock, but now even she seemed uncertain. Janet, you have to be careful, Nkechi warned, her voice filled with concern. People are talking. They say you're just waiting for Nana to die so you can take everything he has. Janet shook her head in disbelief. Why would they say that? I love him, Nkechi. I've been with him through everything. You're not the problem, Nkechi said gently. But you know how people are. And Nana. He's not the only one with a past. The weight of it is breaking him. Janet looked down at her hands, her fingers trembling. I can't let him go through this alone. But I don't know if I can handle the pressure much longer. Nkechi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Just remember, you're not in this alone. You have people who care about you. Nana finally woke up 3 days later. His eyes fluttered open, and Janet was the first person he saw. Her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes shone with relief. He reached for her hand weakly. Jane, he rasped, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for things to get this bad. She smiled through her tears. You don't have to apologize. I'm just glad you're awake. But Nana could see the weariness in her eyes. He knew she had been through so much while he lay unconscious, and it pained him to see her so burdened. I can't do this anymore, Janet, Nana said, his voice breaking. I'm not the man you deserve. I've ruined everything. Janet shook her head. No, Nana. You're more than your mistakes. We're both struggling, but we can fight through this together. But Nana pulled his hand away. His eyes filled with anguish. I'm tired, Janet. I don't know if I can keep fighting for something that may never be real. My wealth, my past, all the people who've used me. Can you truly love a man like me? Her heart broke at his words. I've been with you through the worst of it, Nana. I'm not going anywhere. But deep down she wasn't sure anymore. She couldn't deny the weight of his words. The village had turned on them. Their love had been tested in ways she never imagined. Could she keep fighting, or was it too late? As Nana's health improved, his family continued to pressure him. They demanded that he end his relationship with Janet, accusing her of being after his money, just like the others before her. His siblings made it clear that they would not accept Adeora into the family. "You're a fool if you continue with this woman," Ifeoma said during one heated family meeting. "We've been through this before. Every woman you've been with has taken what they wanted and left. What makes you think she is different?" Nana clenched his fists, feeling the weight of his family's judgment. "I've made my choice, Ifeoma. Janet is different. She's been the only one who's ever cared about me. Not my money, not my status. She loves me for who I am." "But what about your legacy?" Uche, his younger brother, questioned. "What will the community say? Our name will be dragged through the mud if you marry her." Nana's voice grew cold. "I don't care what the community says. Care about Janet. And I will marry her, whether you approve or not." The strain between his family and Janet continued to escalate, and Janet could no longer bear the constant judgment and whispers. She felt isolated, abandoned by both Nana's family and the community she had once felt a part of. One evening, as Nana returned from a meeting, he found Janet waiting for him. "What are you doing?" he asked, panic rising in his chest. "I can't do this anymore, Nana," she said, her voice trembling. "The pressure, the lies, the gossip. It's too much for me. I love you, but I can't be the cause of all this pain." "No, don't leave me," Nana pleaded, his face contorted in desperation. "Need you. I can't live without you." But Janet shook her head. "You don't need me, Nana. You need someone who can handle the weight of your world. I can't be that person." Tears welled up in Nana's eyes as he reached for her. "I don't care about my wealth or my family. Care about you. Please don't leave me." For a moment, Janet hesitated, but then she turned away. "I'm sorry, Nana. I can't stay." With that, she walked out the door, leaving Nana standing alone in the hallway, broken and empty. As the days passed, Nana found himself sinking deeper into despair. He spent his days alone in his mansion, unable to escape the overwhelming weight of his choices. The once lively house felt suffocating, the silence echoing through the halls. But amidst the loneliness, Nana made a decision. He would no longer let his past control him. If he wanted Janet back, he had to prove that he was capable of change. He would fight, not for his wealth, not for his family's approval, but for the love he had always longed for. Ogwefi Nana sat alone in his mansion, the silence almost deafening that Janet's departure had left a void he couldn't fill, but instead of wallowing in despair, he made a decision. He would transform his life. For years, he had relied on wealth to mask his insecurities, but now he realized that true happiness came from within. He started by addressing his health. Hiring a personal trainer and a dietitian, he began a rigorous fitness journey. Early mornings that were once spent lounging were now replaced with brisk walks and light workouts. Gradually, the pounds began to drop, and with them, his confidence grew. He also started attending therapy to confront the emotional scars left by years of rejection and betrayal. At the same time, Nana distanced himself from the sycophants who had surrounded him for so long. He focused on his businesses, delegating responsibilities and ensuring that his wealth would no longer be a crutch, but a tool to uplift others. Janet had returned to her quiet life, focusing on her boutique and raising her son, Ibuka. Although she missed Nana deeply, she believed her decision to leave had been the right one. The gossip had died down, but the memories of the ridicule and judgment still lingered. One day, as she was arranging clothes in her shop, Nkechi walked in with an excited look. "Have you heard?" Kechi asked. "Heard what?" Janet replied, barely looking up. "Nana. He's changed. Lost weight, started some charity projects. People are saying he's a completely different man." Janet paused, her heart skipping a beat. "That's good for him," she said quietly, though her mind raced with thoughts of what this meant. Nkechi noticed the flicker of emotion in her eyes. "You still care about him, don't you?" Janet sighed. "It's not that simple, Nkechi. I love him, but love isn't always enough." Several weeks later, Nana hosted an event to launch his new initiative, a foundation to support widows and single mothers. The event was widely publicized, and Janet was invited. She almost declined, but Ibuka convinced her to go. "Mummy, Uncle Nana was always kind to us. You should support him," Ibuka said with a smile. Reluctantly, she agreed. When she arrived at the venue, she was taken aback by what she saw. Nana was barely recognizable. He had shed much of his weight, his face slimmer, his posture more confident. But what struck her most was the joy in his demeanor as he spoke passionately about the foundation. "This isn't about me," Nana said during his speech. "It's about giving back to the community that shaped me. For too long I lived for myself. Now I want to live for others." As the crowd applauded, Nana's eyes locked with Janet's. He smiled and she felt her heart flutter. After the event, Nana approached Janet. His expression a mix of nervousness and hope. "Janet," he began, "thank you for coming. It means more to me than you know." "I wouldn't have missed it," she said softly. "You've done something amazing here." He nodded, his voice trembling slightly. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You made me see that I needed to change. Not for anyone else but for myself. I know I hurt you and I'm sorry." Janet felt tears welling up. "Nana, you didn't hurt me. Life did. We were both caught in a storm we didn't know how to handle." Nana reached for her hand. "I want to start over, Janet. Not as the man you met before, but as the man I've become. I love you, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." She hesitated, the memories of their struggles flashing through her mind. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw sincerity, humility, and a man who had truly changed. "I love you too, Nana," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Let's start over together." And with that, they started their journey of love over again.